Welcome, self-aware leader, Jason Rigby here. Maybe you're a new leader. You just clicked on this. This is your first time leading people. What does that look like? I want to talk about embracing the first 90 days. When you step into a new leadership role, it's almost like a new sacred evolving pilgrimage, a journey not just for professional growth, but of deep personal transformation. And I want you to understand, as a self aware leader, this is what leadership does. It puts you in this moment, in this point in your life where it allows you to be able to be not in charge of other people, but a steward, a servant to other people. And you may be excited about this. There may be a touch of apprehension. And I can remember those early days that I discovered the connection between effective leadership, spiritual wisdom, and then self awareness. And that's what I want to get in today and kind of give you some help, some insights, some steps, some soulful practices that helped me along the way for these first 90 days and beyond. Number one, we're going to get into, there's 15 of them: establishing credibility and authority, gaining the trust and respect of team members. This is the thing that you need to do right off the bat. And it's not coming in there and saying, I'm the leader, I'm superior. No, it's you understanding what a servant leader is all about. And that is demonstrating competence. It's demonstrating confidence without appearing to be the asshole, the overbearing one. And this takes time to learn. You're not going to learn this in 90 days, but you can start understanding that I'm being too nice, I'm being too passive aggressive, or I'm kind of being a little bit more of an asshole than I should be, and I'm telling instead of asking. There's all these different things that you can do. I'm unconfident right now. The other boss is having kind of an argue with me, and I'm sitting here not knowing what to do. I'm kind of confused. There's this competence and confidence. And when you look at those two things, you will clearly be able to understand if you're getting credibility or not. If people start listening to you, if you start asking questions and you're in a meeting and you got the whiteboard out and we're going to talk about that, how to get people to engage, but they're engaged, you're going to gain naturally, organically credibility. Next is building trusting relationships. This is crucial. This is a mistake that I made in the beginning. I thought that if I did everything as an expert, that if I can get everything all done and all perfect and my task list for the day, I would get there early, I would leave late, I'd be the first one, I'd be the last. And I was like, people are people, they're going to figure their thing out. But I didn't take the time to build a relationship, not just any type of relationship or just get to know someone. Because a lot of times we confuse that as being like, I want to get to know this person as a friend. And I'm not opposed to having friends and work as long as they know the difference and you've had that conversation. You've been self-aware enough to have that conversation. I'm talking about building a trusting relationship. This involves, more than anything, active listening. This is the biggest superpower that leaders can have that no one does. They want to talk, talk, talk. I'll go into meetings and leaders are sitting around a room and 90% of the conversation is the leader. 90%. You can tell whoever's talking the most is the CEO or the CFO, whoever it may be. You're like, oh, okay, yeah, they're the leader. No one does active listening. Next, which no one does either, is showing empathy. What does that look like when you show empathy? It's like you're caring, you're listening, you're valuing the other person as a person, not just a widget for something that they need to do for you. See, that's what the narcissistic leader does. It tells, listen to me, me, me. It's all about me, me, me. And you're going to do what I say so that I look good. And you're just a person that I need to manipulate to get what I want. And they probably do that in their marriage and in their relationships. They just manipulate people and they've gone through life strategizing and Machiavellian, trying to get what they want. And we all know leaders that are that way. What does it take to build the trusting relationship? You need to understand the individual's strengths and weaknesses, not just within the team, but within each individual. And we'll talk about coaching, and I'm going to share with you another secret power that you can do where you can understand strengths and weaknesses. But next is understanding organizational culture. First 90 days, you're just starting out. You've got to know what the culture's like. Every organization has its own set of values, has its own set of norms. And this is the big one. Listen to me. Find the unwritten rules. Be like a little detective and write these down. What are the values that people are demonstrating, negative or positive? What are they acting like? Are the sales teams, are they talking about being sharks and going after people and ripping people off? Is that the value, the norms, and the unwritten rules in the sales department? You got to find these things out. You don't need to correct them. You're not Superman yet. This isn't, a vigilante where you got to go in and, I see that with new leaders too. They think they have to martyr themselves so that they can somehow think that they're going to be Jesus and save Rome and the Jews and everything else in the organization. It doesn't work that way. Just be a detective. Find out what are the unwritten rules, what are the values, what are the norms. Because as you build trusting relationships, then you can slowly change the culture. But don't try to go in and change. I've seen this too. My goodness. Here's the culture. I came up with the rules. Here's what I don't like, and here's what I like. It's narcissistic again. You're making a culture that you want. What do the people want? Have them create the culture. New leaders need to quickly grasp these cultural nuances to navigate effectively. This is going to help you. This is your map. This is a map of the map. If you get what I'm saying, it's these unwritten rules, and that's going to guide you and direct you to where you need to go. Maybe there's really the leader in this department is this person, but not really. It's this senior person that's been here for 30 years, and they're just the vice president. But everything kind of goes through them, and they kind of run everything. Well, guess what you're going to do? You're going to have a conversation with them too, correct? Find the unwritten rules. Next, setting clear expectations and goals. Articulating a clear vision and setting achievable goals. You're not going to pay attention to what I'm saying right now. So if you're driving and you've tuned out and you're already thinking and stressed out over something else because you're a new leader, listen to me. Where there is no vision, the people perish. That's in Proverbs in the scriptures. Articulating a clear vision and setting achievable goals aligns you first. You have to do that for you. Then you have to do it for the team. And that, gaining clarity and all of you getting clarity together, guess what happens? It provides direction organically. You don't have to tell people to do anything. If you get people together in a room and it's like, hey, I feel like we don't have a lot of clarity and I need your guys' help. I want us to write, what are some of the things that would make it more clear? Susan speaks up. Bill speaks up. Shaniqua speaks up. And next thing you know, guess what you have? The team talking and sharing and opening up. And then you're the leader. You're not even talking. You're just on the whiteboard writing these things down. Now you need to execute on what it looks like, because now you have a list of things that your employees think would make it more clear. And then you can dissect them and read them and throw them into ChatGPT and do all those things. Get data on them, whatever you like to do those things. But without clarity, guess what happens to teams? They become disengaged. And worse, they get confused and do the wrong things. But I see tons of people in organizations disengaged, and it's not because they're a bad person. It's not because they're super passive aggressive. They're just not clear on the vision. They don't know what to achieve next. No one's took the time to talk to them or show them that. Next is managing resistance to change. So we know introducing a new idea is going to be met with skepticism. So guess what you do? Find the people that are the leaders, the hidden leaders, like I talked about earlier, that vice president. Find the people. Maybe you have a team of 5 people, but there's one person that kind of everybody looks up to. You need to take them to coffee. You need to take them to lunch. You need to ask them. Say, hey, Cindy, I got a question for you. I'm a new leader and there's some change. What are some of the things that you would like to see that this team could do better if these things got changed? See if it lines up with yours. You know how many times I've had where we can get roundabout, where we have the conversation, we keep having it. Next thing you know, they're in alignment with me. We weren't that far off. Maybe you address theirs first and you get a win with them. With that leader, you get a win with them. And then guess what happens? Then the thing that you really want to change will be easy to do because you've already got a win. And now you've built trust and you have a trusting relationship, so you'll be able to do it easily. That's the problem with managing resistance. We don't want to do that. It's a skill set, and it's just communicating and involving team members. You have to over communicate. That's something that leaders don't do. They think that they communicate because they get so busy caught up in the bullshit. And what I'm talking about, the bullshit, is the fires. As that was the thing I did. I had to put the task out there, and guess my task list never got done. I just was worn out, working 12, 15-hour days, worn out, just doing task after task after task. And you know really what I was doing? I was doing everybody else's job. I was doing little things from every person's job. Small business owners, if you're a small business owner, listen to me. You're doing this all the time. I guarantee you, I could come into your small business and see that you're doing things that don't really matter. Another person could do it. It's taking you away. Those managerial things that you're doing doesn't need to work. A difference between a manager and a leader. Those managerial things you're doing, those little tasks you can doing, if you would take the time to train somebody right and not get frustrated with them and angry and narcissistic, if you come loving and with humility, or you hire somebody, there's tons of people out there that can help you with this. I'm one of them as a consultant, a leadership consultant. That's what I do for a living. But what does it look like for you as a manager to communicate benefits? It's the benefits that matter. That's what the person wants to know. Change is scary. Change means I could lose my job. Change means the position could go away. Change means my best friend that I work with for 12 years, I don't know what's going to happen there. Are we going to be separated? We've sat next to each other for years. We eat lunch every day. People don't like change. And as a leader, it's your responsibility to manage the resistance. Find the resistance and bring it out in the room and open it up in a loving and caring way. And allow people to share their concerns. Don't get impatient with that. This is huge, guys. Next is information overload. The initial phase often involves processing a vast amount of information as a new manager. You have organizational information. You have projects, tons of these new projects that you knew nothing out. And now you've got personnel, you've got people to manage. How do you prioritize all this? How do you filter all this information? And you're going to kill yourself. You're not going to see your family ever because it's too much information. So guess what? Gaining clarity. The first 90 days, gain clarity. Seek to understand what's going on, not to solve the task, to understand the task. You can shove the PDF in ChatGPT and say, I'm 13 years old, explain this to me. I do this all the time, guys. As a 13-year-old, explain this PDF to me. It's a financial statement. Explain it to me like I'm really young. What is this line item? All I'm asking you to do for the first 90 days is to seek clarity, not to do anything on all these organizational understandings and reports and projects. Every report, run it through there. Summarize emails. Pull out the most important things of this email. Use AI. You gain clarity. And then personnel, you're going to be coaching them. Then you'll have time for that. But I'm telling you, if you would spend 15, 20 minutes is all it takes for you to understand something clearly. I'm using that word over and over again, ain't I? Because that's how important it is. If you can take the time to understand it, then you're not going to be doing something. If you don't understand it and you just create a whole bunch of tasks of it, or you listen to somebody else that they may not understand it, and now you've created a ton of work for somebody that's not even relevant. People will also sniff out bullshit and they'll know if you understand something. Or you think that you understand it, make sure you understand it completely before you have a conversation with somebody. Be like, hey, and then just repeat what ChatGPT said at 13. This is what I think it is. This is how, help me understand this clearly. Ask people that, especially if they're an expert in this. Go to the marketing department and say, hey, you sent out this PDF. This is what I understand it to be. Can you help me understand it a little bit more? How does it affect our department? Super simple, guys. But no one seeks clarity on these things. Next, time management and prioritization. How do you balance day-to-day responsibilities? You've got to take the time. You're a leader now. You're not just a worker. There's more responsibility. And with that responsibility comes time to manage time. And that is a skill. You must decide where to focus your efforts for maximum impact. Where can I lead the most? People are number one. Then projects. Then the macro. And then the micro, the little bullshit stuff. There's so many programs out there. Find one that you like. Go on YouTube. It's free. And look at all the different ones that are out there and find one that works for you. I like to make a list in notes on my phone, Apple Notes. I use the notes and I just 3 to 5 things that I'm going to accomplish today. And I'm going to get those things done, period, no matter how long it takes. These 3 to 5 things, that's all I'm going to do. The other things are going to wait. It's going to wait. And I'm going to tell somebody double the time of what it says. I'm never over promise. It's over promise and under deliver. That's what most of you do. And it's not because you're not willing to do the work. It's because you don't have time management skills. It's the same. Always think of it as like building a house. It's going to cost double. When you budget things, double it out. Then if you come under budget, guess what happens? You look like the hero, right? Say double time. You'll be surprised how many times if you say, hey, I can get this done in a week, and your boss will be like, oh, okay, great. And you say, hey, boss, I'll have this done in 2 weeks. And I'll give you a report and we'll go over it in detail. I'm going to get some people involved to make sure that it's done right. So it's going to take me about 2 weeks. Okay, perfect. As long as it's done right. That's the way to do it, guys. Prioritize time management. It's a skill. Learn it. Next, decision making with incomplete information. You're going to make decisions where you don't have all the information. And this creates errors. It also undermines your credibility. Take the time to have a conversation. If you know your workers and you know what they're experts in, go have a conversation with them before you make the decision. It's as simple as walking down the hall and saying, hey, Elizabeth, I know you're an expert in this. Somebody told me that you're awesome in this. I have to make this decision, and you know way more about this than I do. So I want to throw some things at you, or maybe you can read this and then I'll come back in 20, 30 minutes. Or, can we go over this together for, 30 minutes? And then I need you to help me make the decision. They're going to be like, wow, I'm important. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to get complete information. Stop winging things with incomplete information. You're not that. We're so narcissistic as leaders. It's so crazy how people think, I have a title, I'm this person. So, and a lot of the decisions, when you have incomplete information, is going to be wrong. And when you're wrong, guess what happens? People notice more than you think they do. I'm not trying to make you nervous. I'm not trying to make you fearful. What I'm trying to get you to do is to take the time to have a 30-minute conversation with an Elizabeth, if that makes sense. Next, assessing and developing the team. Identify talent. What are they talented at? I always ask the question, this is such a great question, ask somebody, say, what could our team use that you're an expert in that we're not using now? Is that good? There was a old NASA engineer guy that was in charge of NASA. He would go around and ask people that. What are you an expert at that our team could use that we're not using now? It is shocking the answer that you get from that. Find your talent. All kinds of things. Are they great horseback riders? Perfect. Maybe do they know people at the stable? Awesome. Maybe we can get marketing involved and we'll do a commercial there with them and they can be in the commercial. How cool would that be? There's so many different things. You're an expert at fly making. Awesome. Now it's something I know about Bill that he does on his weekends. He fly fishes. That's super cool. Guess what I'm going to do if I want to have a conversation with him? We're going to go fly fishing. Why wouldn't we? Guess what he's going to do? I'm not going to bring up work the whole time in the fly fishing. He's going to bring it. And we're going to have a really deep conversation. And I'm going to make sure 50 times I'm going to compliment him and compliment him and compliment him. Bill, on this fly fishing trip, I just value you. I value the work that you do. I value everything that you do. You just do such amazing work. That's going to help you in understanding the talent that your people have. And then on the other side, what's the performance issues? You have to address it. Performance issues. There's performance issues in the bedroom and couples won't talk about it. And then somebody has an affair because they didn't take the time to talk about it when it could have been a little pill that you could have went and got. Or maybe there was some psychiatric help that you needed that you guys could have went together, but no one wants to talk about it, right? Address the performance issues. That seems over the top, but it'll help you to be able to understand what I'm talking about. Everybody has performance issues. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. And then foster professional growth. Make sure that you reward people when they do something awesome. The report was awesome. And reward them in front of people. That's why it's so important to do team coaching and so important to get people in a room. Because every time you get people together, guess what you can do? You can start praising them. in front of each other. And they're going to love that more than a raise. I guarantee you, people want to be valued at work more than they want more money. Trust me, you can pay somebody more and then treat them like shit and they'll quit. This is how it happens all the time. You talk to people and they've found a horrible job and now they got a big house and a nice thing and they hate their work, but they're stuck because their kids are in private school and they have 2 fancy cars and, a 10-bedroom house. And so they're just, they hate their lives. And so they do alcohol and drugs and everything else. And then they end up ruining it anyways, right? Let's look at the next one. Overcoming self-doubt and imposter syndrome. What does this look like for you? I'm a self-aware leader. I'm practicing self-awareness. I'm learning, teaching, learning. This is the thing that a new leader grapples with. So you've tuned me out, but not now. Many new leaders grapple with feelings of inadequacy or fear of failure. All as a leader, all the things that you've ever dealt with, your trauma and your drama, and I don't feel good enough. I'm afraid of outshining others in this room. I don't want to speak up. All the little things, the fears, the failures, those are all going to pop out. Congratulations, leader. But guess what? It shows that you're ready. You're at the level where this is where you get to grow. This is you've made it from high school to college to now you're in the Pro Bowls. You're doing it. You're a professional leader. So now it's time, just like an athlete, you're going to work on that millisecond. You're going to make sure it's done absolutely perfect. And how do you do that? Well, you have to understand you and find things inside of you. And this is a spiritual aspect. I don't want to get too spiritual, but I'm going to so be patient and listen to me, leader. Being self-aware means I understand where I'm inadequate. And I understand that I always seek favor with others, especially if they're in an authoritative position. So I kind of kiss ass a little bit. And I never state my mind. I'm always just agree all the time. I'm kind of an ass kisser. If you understand that and know that and who you are, now work on it. Okay, recognize it. Say your brain will help you trigger that. Be like, oh, I'm kind of ass kissing right now. He asked me my opinion and I'm really kind of being fearful and I don't want to give it. Well, guess what? This is going to hinder your performance. And what's going to happen even more is fear and failure. Those two things, having the fear of failure, all of that is not going to make you be able to make decisions like you should. And that's what a leader primarily does, is make decisions. Now, I want to get into these other, we're going to go kind of quick through them for sake of time, but navigating organizational politics. What are the power dynamics? What alliances do I need to build? What different departments do I need to understand? You're a leader now. You can't just work in your department. You're not a manager. You're a leader. So that means you need to understand everyone. Take the time to walk by and say hello. Take the time a lot of leaders don't even do this. You go to a meeting and somebody came up with a really good idea. An hour or two later, go by them or the next day and be like, when you look at a person's face and they make eye contact with you, I want you to get really good at praising them for something specific. You know what, Jim? That was so freaking awesome what you said in the meeting. I've been thinking about it, yesterday and today, and I just appreciate you and what you bring, and it's just enlightening. Navigate organizational politics. Not that you're running around kicking ass. It's just you're seeing the best in people. You choose to see the best in people. That's what Jesus did, right? He's our prime example. Whether you're religious or not, if you read the Gospels, you will see Jesus as a perfect servant leader. Next, adapting leadership styles. Leaders must often adjust their leadership approach. This is something, Bill Clinton was real. I'm not trying to trigger on politics, but Bill Clinton was really good about this. If he was in a room with the Christian majority right, he would be able to tailor it where they would have a good conversation. He was able to work across both aisles, Republicans and Democrats, right? And whether you believe they got stuff done or didn't or whatever, but when you look at what people say about him, they said that he was a really good people person and that you could have a meaningful conversation with him. This is being able to adapt leadership styles. Some people are going to want the Marine Corps style, Jason Rigby. Others are going to want the really sensitive, asking questions and understanding. This is where you get to know your peeps. And it's going to differ significantly. And it's going to be different from your previous environment. It's like having a relationship and then a new relationship with a new partner and then doing the same thing you did with your ex-partner, are bringing all of that in, expecting it all to be the same. Different person, right? Different organization, different, you're in a different role. You can't do that. Everybody goes, that's so ego to take what you've learned previously and think that you can shove it in and smash it into this way that you feel like you think that you can do it because it's this previous environment and you were an expert in this. No, you're in a new environment. Understand it, adapt. Isn't that part of evolution, is adaptation? Of course. Next, effective communication. Clearly conveying ideas. Not just ideas, expectations. It's this simple. Hey, Susan, I know you came up with this idea. What does it look like? How can we implement this? Oh, it'll take about 2 weeks. Okay, and then what can we do? Is there a report that we can do? Is there a presentation that we can have that we can give to the rest of the team? And I want you to lead it, not me. You're going to give the presentation. How much time would you need to prepare the presentation and get everything ready? Okay, you for the next meeting, you could have it done. Okay, awesome. Well, how many minutes you think you'd need? 15, 20 minutes? Perfect. And then we'll have Q&A after. Is that great? Awesome. See, I just created an expectation, didn't I? I clearly conveyed an idea. I created an expectation. And then I'm asking for feedback. Always ask for feedback. And when you ask for feedback, this is coaching 101. After they give the feedback, then say, and what else? And then really listen, because that's the answer. That's what you need to know. The other's fluff, and the and what else, they'll actually get. Watch. Just do it all the time. Just, and what else? Communication can lead to misunderstandings. When you have misunderstandings, you have no team morale. And all understandings come from miscommunication. You're not communicating clearly enough if you have bad team morale. That's all it is. There's nothing else. It's very rare that it's something other than miscommunication. Somebody's not communicating right to somebody else. Everything's communication, right? Next, aligning with the organizational strategy, ensuring that the team's efforts contribute to the broader organizational goals. And that requires a deep understanding of the company's strategic direction. Those emails that you ignored from the CEO before, the reports that you got that you never read, those, like I said, you need to run them through ChatGPT and understand them. Align with organizational strategy. What's the macro? In fact, if you're a middle leader, go have a conversation with the leaders that are above you and ask what they expect. I'm a new leader. I'm 90 days. What would be a success for you? I've never had another leader tell me as a leader over them. I would be so happy if a leader would come to me and be like, well, what do you expect? What does success look like in my department for you? How would you like me to communicate with you? Would you like it through email, text? Do you want to do voice messages? Do you want to have a conversation? Do you want to schedule a meeting every week? What works best for you? Go around and your leaders, those that are in charge of you, have that conversation with them. And then guess what? Get your team in alignment and share the vision of the organizational strategy, what's going on. Let them know, say, hey, it's just going to give you more influence. If you're like, hey, I had a 30-minute meeting with the CEO and he said this, and this, and he said the department success looks like this. And so here's what we know. Here's what the CEO is looking for. Here's organizational strategy. Here's what the board's all agreed on. So I'm going to come to you guys and we're going to sit here and we're going to we got the board behind us. We're going to brainstorm how we can gain clarity on these things, how we can align with this. How awesome is that? Next, last one, then we'll be done, guys. You guys ready? As a new leader, first 90 days, maintaining personal well-being. Stress and burnout's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to be overwhelmed, insecure, all of those things. Guess what? Every single leader, it's like a woman giving birth. Every woman for the centuries since we've had birthing has given birth. Nothing is new. Leaders have been leaders for thousands and thousands of years, and they all felt the same way you're feeling. So the best thing that you can do is put yourself first and your well-being. If you plan on working 10, 12-hour days, make sure you take the time to go to the gym for 30 minutes after or before the day and get that cleared out. You've got to get all that anxiety out. Best way to do that is to walk or run or do some cardio. Cardio will get that out of you. The endorphins will balance all that out. You're at stress and burnout and super high and got all these emotions running. The cardio levels that out. Those endorphins level that out. So it's so important to do. Take a walk during lunch. If you get a 30-minute lunch and you're like, ha, ha, ha. But if you do have time, take an employee and have a walk with them. Say, hey, let's have a walking meeting. A friend of mine does that all the time. He's calling me on the phone and he's walking while he's calling me on the phone. And then he has a little treadmill. He does like 20,000 steps a day. And then he takes his employees and they go for a walk around the buildings and the parking lot and stuff. And they have a conversation as they're walking. People did that all the time. We do that. We've walked and talked. It's not a big deal. Leaders need to manage their well-being. You have to perform at your best. If you are just eating fast food all the time, not sleeping, not exercising, not taking care of yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, you're going to be shit for everybody around you, and you're not going to do these things. So it's you first. And I hope you can understand that. And I pray that each of you guys will look at this and understand that you're going to be overwhelmed. I told you that. Just accept it. And in 2 years, you're going to laugh at yourself because you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe, I was so dumb then and how scared I was. Imagine me in this position here. So just be thankful that somebody recognized in you the potential and that they believe in you. To put you in that position, they believe in you and you have an opportunity. That's what it is. It's an opportunity. So I encourage each of you to take the opportunity, take the responsibility, list these out and start working on them. And I guarantee you, if you do 3 or 4 of them, you're going to be an amazing leader.